Greetings, friends, and welcome to Mind the Moment in Everyday Life. Each month, we take a theme and explore how mindfulness can support us in bringing that theme to life. Now, our theme for this month of January has been mindfully setting intentions for the new year. I'm your host, John Roberts from Living Well Community, the virtual library of live and on-demand wellness programming created and curated for you by Point 32 Health and its family of companies, including Harvard Pilgrim Healthcare and Tufts Health Plan. Now, I'm thrilled to be joined once more by your mindfulness guide this month, the wonderful Zeenat Potia. Welcome, Zeenat.
Thank you, John, and hello, everyone. It's really good to see you.
Now, Zeenat, last week you suggested a practice that we could try doing at home as a way to weave this idea of mindfully setting intentions for the new year into the fabric of our everyday lives. And here's what you suggested, and tell me if I got this right. You invited us to take a few minutes each night to either write in a journal or just reflect on the ways in which we aligned with the mindful intention we'd set for ourselves during the course of that day. So, for example, if at the start of the day I set the intention to be kind to others, even people I don't know, then at the end of the day, I might reflect on how at the grocery store I'd helped someone who is shorter than me reach a bag of turnips on the high shelf. Now, if folks had a chance to try out this reflection and journaling practice, we'd love to hear from you. Please open up the chat. Let us know how it's been going, what's felt right, what's felt difficult or challenging. But Zeenat, while folks are thinking and typing, I'm wondering if you might tell us about how this practice has been going for you.
Sure, I'd love to, John. I've noticed that, first of all, it's been so supportive just having these three sessions, every week. It's really kept intention front and center for me. And I've noticed that I started stacking intentions. So I've been making them daily. And when I'm reflecting on how that intention went, that particular at the end of the day, and then the next morning when I wake up, I bring to mind the intention from the previous day, and then I add a new one. And so then they become like a family of intentions. And so they've just been building, and I keep, it's I'm not remembering the song or whatever, but you kind of repeat the former and then you add a new. And so that's been kind of a cool, really fun practice because it reaffirms my commitment in the original intentions, and then there's something fresh and new to play with to add. So
No, I love this because you're actually offering just sort of a different way of folks can do this. I mean, so if folks have been setting intentions for themselves every day, this is another sort of version of that same activity that you might try. And also, I think you're pointing out the fact that as you are doing this sort of mindful activity, you will discover for yourself what is the best way to bring it into your life. So maybe it's stacking intentions, or maybe it's sticking with one intention. But I think you would agree, Zainat, that's really about figuring out what's going to sustain you, the individual, as you keep doing this over time.
that's right. And I think keeping the skill of attunement very much as part of this practice, because when we're tuning in to what the feelings and needs are every day, there is an aliveness there. That's very much the core of mindfulness practice, is being attuned to the present moment. And that's where for me, that's the spontaneously the stacking has arisen, because, oh, wait, what do I need today? I actually need, so for instance, I'll just share today what came up as the intention stack on the top was, one step, one breath at a time. And so that was meeting the needs of today for me. So to keep kind of that orientation too of what are the feelings and needs.
It feels also about how in some cuisines they stack spices, and so you have these different spices, and you can, each one is good on its own, but as you sort of combine them into layers, then they become even deeper and
That's
more
right.
resonant with each other.
Beautiful.
Now, Zena, here's something I was reflecting on the other night for myself. As I mentioned last week, the ongoing intention I've set for myself is to try to be a bit more patient with my 4.5-year-old son. to not leap to judgment or a "you need to be punished" mindset whenever he does something which I perceive to be incorrect. But I found myself having to sort of fine tune this a bit as I went along, because I realized there are clearly times when I do need to stop him from doing something right away. Like when I found him hitting our dining room table with a toy hammer, and in that instance, I said, "Stop doing that." But while in the past, I may have been content to let him sort of slink off and stew in the muck of having been disciplined, this most recent time I thought maybe I can offer him an alternative. And so I suggested that we go outside together and hit his hammer on rocks instead of the furniture. And to be honest, he didn't really like that idea very much, but it still felt good to connect with him immediately after the moment of discipline. It felt, in a sense, like it was a moment of discipline aftercare.
I love that. I love that. That's beautiful. Yeah.
But I will say, Zan, this also reminded me a little bit of what we do in meditation practice,
Mm.
because when we're trying to concentrate on the breath, for example, here come marching in all these thoughts, and it can be tempting to want to say, like, "Stop it, stop thinking." But as I understand it, the recommendation is not really to demand that your thoughts go away, but instead to redirect them, as though to say to your thoughts, "How about you just go off to the side for a moment so that I can keep concentrating on the breath?" Am I getting that right? Is that the
Yeah, yeah, 100%. These instructions or these tools that you're offering are just sometimes it's just a doorway again to cultivating more awareness. So I love this idea of working with, your son Jack, of kind of redirecting and really the focus, as I heard it, was on maintaining the connection, which has so much more influence in the long term rather than the punishment. And similarly with our minds that are unwieldy, the thoughts, we don't have control over them. They come, they have their own momentum, and instead of beating them down with a stick, asking for some space, or from IFS parts language, you can ask a part to step back a little bit or relax back a little bit. And so it's offered with compassion and then continuing to sustain awareness.
Yeah, I want to be thank you for sort of teasing out the idea that I was looking to sort of deepen a sense of connection with Jack, because I'm realizing that I'm stacking intentions as well, because really I was articulating the intention to myself to just be more aware of my maybe desire to leap to punishment, but in fact there's also that intention to connect, and I think I'm doing the stacking right there, and they're
You're
working with
doing
each
it.
other.
Awesome.
And I also suppose, that while it's so, speaking about how in our meditation practice we're also maybe doing a little bit of redirecting. It's true. I think we know it's true that meditation practice can support us in building daily mindful habits into our lives. But I suppose it's also the case that these daily mindful habits can uh, turn around and support our meditation practice, or tell us things about how we can meditate maybe a little better. So I feel like that's a nice sort of loop that we're working with here as well.
Yeah, that's right. They inform one another. Absolutely. Our life is our practice, and our practice is our life.
Now, Zena, if you don't mind me asking, when it comes to setting forth what, sometimes we think of as New Year's resolutions, there's almost this kind of running joke about how by the end of January, all those resolutions are going to be, withering on the vine or getting chucked out the window with all the holiday cards we received, no matter how confidently we may have set them at the beginning of the month. And I suppose there's a danger that this could happen with our intention setting as well. I'm just wondering if you have any thoughts or advice on how we might keep up the momentum of the intentions which we set at the beginning of the year throughout the year. And for example, after a series of sessions like this one has come to an end, and we're not supporting you in the same way that we might have been.
Yeah, that's such a good question. And, I really have a very gentle response, which is that to know that our intentions have to do with our deepest aspirations. And so even if, excuse me, this idea of the momentum or keeping them up or whatever, if that wanes a little bit, it's not a problem, because these intentions, it's not like they have a finite end or a project goal, right? This idea of wanting to maintain connection or being a patient parent is not ever meant to be finished. And so at any time when we remember or we feel this tug to our deepest aspirations, we can reconnect to those intentions and we can make new ones. It's just it's meant to be, which is why I love it. It's really aspirational, and it's like having a North Star, or that we use those metaphors of the seeds or the lighthouse, but to hold it lightly, and that's with compassion for yourself, because we're imperfect, we're messy human beings, and we get distracted or we forget or we self-sabotage, and that's okay. We always can begin again and renew the commitment. So just to trust yourself.
I love this. What I picked out of that, this idea of being attentive to the tug back to the intention, just knowing that the intention will be there, and just being open to being tugged back to it. And I was thinking about the ways that this could happen. I was brushing my teeth this morning, and I noticed this, which I thought was kind of funny. My toothpaste says, "Set big goals, go get them," and I thought maybe we could think of that as like maybe not setting big goals and going to get them as much as setting wide intentions and aligning with them. But just these little things in our environment that we might use as ways to tug ourselves back to that.
I love it.
Thank you. Seeing some comment about talking about redirecting with our children and keeping the connection and helping to cultivate the understanding that mistakes are a part of learning, that the person is not the mistake. That's very well said. So, Zena, I'm wondering if, as we're hoping to stay attentive to those intentional tugs throughout our years, do you think it'd be useful to have what I'm thinking about in my head as an intention buddy, someone with whom you can discuss what you've been able to achieve with your intentions, or with whom you might discuss where difficulties have been emerging? It seems like kind of an obvious win, but I'm also wondering, on the other hand, if there's a risk that that in making oneself accountable to another person, it could amplify the chance that one might feel some sense of shame or disappointment in themselves if they're not doing as well as they would like to in keeping their intention.
Hmm. Yeah, that's a very nuanced question. My heart says that if it works for you to have an intention buddy or to have support, to just go with that, because we live in such a world of such disconnection that any premise of that, I think, can only be beneficial. And to form it with somebody where there is already trust and warmth and understanding and friendship, so that those qualities can help support how you take this on, and just to experiment and play and see what works. But more community is always better, I think, and very supportive
I think
with
that's
any endeavor, and especially with intentions and meditation,
more community is always
mindfulness.
better. That's very well put.
Yeah.
Uh, all right, Zena. Well, as you know, in each of these sessions, we've been giving our attendees a couple mindfulness practices they can play with. One is a sit-down practice that we will be doing as a group in the session here, and then the second being a take-home practice we'll talk about in a moment, designed to help folks build up mindful habits in their daily lives. So, Zena, if you think it's the right moment, I'd love to invite you to guide us into that sit-down practice now, if you don't mind.
Sounds wonderful. Okay. So just coming into a comfortable posture, upright, finding some uplift in the spine, relaxing the shoulders down. You might even just give yourself a little squeeze, maybe put hands behind at the nape of the neck. A couple of deep breaths and sighs out, if that helps. And arriving in the present moment, in the sweetness and the sacredness of the here and now. something very simple in the invitation to be here, to be at home in the present moment. Unifying the heart, mind, and body in the present moment and moment to moment, as these moments are dynamic. They come and they go, they come and they go. And our practice is to meet them with curiosity, warmth, compassion, interest, clarity, courage. Not always easy to do, but possible and priceless in its reward. And so just that, you might wish to start and have an intention for this particular meditation, just this short, sweet, sacred time. An intention as a guide, and putting aside any attachment to particular outcomes is very freeing. It's a relief. I don't have to control how it goes. My aspiration, my commitment, my vow, that's my influence. And then my dedication to it. Once again, what is being known moment to moment? Just this exploration is the practice for today. So anytime the mind wanders away, reconnecting when you remember to your intention and aligning the heart, mind, and body, perhaps to the breath or sounds or sensations, or simply being awake, alive, present, alert in the here and now. The last couple of minutes remaining in this practice, reconnecting with your deepest aspiration, your intention. And here comes a bell to signal the end of our practice. Thank you so much. Appreciate your practice.
Thank you so much for that, Zeenat, as well. Now, for folks who want to do that meditation again, I've just dropped into the chat 2 links where you'll be able to access the recording of this session either later today or tomorrow. I just want to reiterate something you said at the beginning of the practice, Zeenat, something which I experienced during this practice. It's not always easy to do, but it's always possible and possibly priceless. So that, I think, is no better way of describing mindfulness and meditation have I heard. Now, folks, please do keep questions and comments coming. But in the meantime, Zeenat, I'm wondering if you might say a few words about the take-home practice you're going to present us with this week.
Indeed, John. What I'd like to offer is for folks to, just like we looked at, at the end of the day, what actions aligned with your intentions. I think it might be useful to see at the end of each day to write down 1 or more ways in which you found yourself veering away from your intentions. And you could do this at a different time during the day too, so it doesn't have to be at the end of the day, but just to look, just really, and the add on to this is the attitude and the mind with which you are doing this. Is it possible to be curious and non-judgmental? Because so that the parts can relax and they're not going to be afraid of shame or blame, and they can just really examine, hey, how did this work? When did I get off track? And perhaps why did I get off track? Might give you some useful information.
And I suppose you could even add that intention onto the spice layer, the intention to be kind to yourself as you're setting other intentions. Maybe that could always be sprinkled on the top like salt.
That's right.
Now, Zeenat, I can't wait till we can do it again sometime soon. In the meantime, I'm wondering if I might ask you, a little challenge here, ask you to leave us with either the most meaningful piece of advice you've received related to your mindfulness practice, or the most recent piece of advice you've received, which has nevertheless been sticking with you in a particularly meaningful way.
I think I'll go with the most recent, which is not, will not be new information for anybody, but I love that it's been a reminder to me, which is to trust that you are your wisest teacher, that you are the medicine. Trust your inner healer, your inner guidance. And sometimes, it's very useful to read teachings or to receive them from others, and then to metabolize that, to try it on, to experiment, to play, all very wholesome. And I think I have found it to be a useful reminder to know that what I need, I already have within me, that wisdom and that guidance. And so to trust that, and to make space to really listen, to listen inwardly for that guidance.
Wonderful advice right there. Other folks are also thanking you, Zeenat, for that. Your intentions, your insights. So thank you again, Zeenat. It was wonderful to have you, and we hope to look forward to seeing you soon.
It's been a delight. Thank you everyone so much. And thank you, John. I always so appreciate and enjoy working with you in this way.
A final thought, if I may, which riffs on Henry David Thoreau, who, writing in Walden, suggested that it is fine to build castles in the air, as long as we're willing and able to then put some foundations underneath them. So too do we set intentions, and having done so, go forth to breathe strong life into them through our actions and through the practices like mindfulness meditation, which support them. We hope to see you all again soon, and until then, please go forth and be excellent to one another.